Environmental Health and Healthy Schools Coordinator for EPA Region 9. I'm joined today by Eileen Shanahan, who is the Environmental Education Coordinator for EPA Region 9, and then Lisa Gover, who will also be presenting today. I'm going to take the first few minutes of our time together today to provide you with some basic information about how to help keep children safe and healthy where they live, learn, and play, as well as where you can find additional information and resources. There are some additional slides in this deck that we will not cover today, but are available in a PDF for you to reference on the media tab of our sessions page in the conference agenda. We have the chat feature available. Mark will be managing that for us. We will have some time at the end of the session today for questions as well. So Mark, if there's anything urgent in the chat, or if there's some issue with the slides, please let me know.
Yes, sure thing.
Environmental factors affect lots of people, so why do we focus specifically on children? Because children face different risks than adults, both due to their behavior and due to their physical differences. Kids are unique. They have unique behaviors that put them into closer contact with contaminants than adults, such as crawling on the floor, putting things in their mouths, eating dirt, and apparently drinking toilet water sometimes. A child's hands contact a contaminated surface up to 32 times during eating. Hands then contact food 10 to 39 times before the food is then actually eaten. Children play close to the ground, which increases their exposure to toxicants in dust, soil, and low-lying toxicants in the air, such as certain pesticide vapors. Pound for pound, children eat more, drink more, and breathe more than adults. If the air they breathe or the water they drink is contaminated, children end up taking in proportionately more contaminants than adults. Newborns drink about an average of 6 ounces of formula per kilo of body weight. This is equivalent to an adult consuming 35 cans of soda or 12 liters of water a day. The body systems of children are still developing. As their internal systems develop, they can be impacted by harmful exposures, making it difficult to get rid of harmful contaminants in the body. The body's natural defenses are less developed. Children have more permeable blood-brain barriers, and their nasal passages are less effective filters than adults. Their bodies also process chemicals differently than adults, sometimes leading to increased body burdens from the same exposure. For example, children's GI tracts absorb lead and some other metals more efficiently than adults, leading to decreased excretion and increased body burdens. Probably most importantly, kids' rapidly developing bodies lead to periods of increased susceptibility to chemicals. Exposures that may ordinarily occur with no effect can have devastating lifelong effects if encountered during a critical period of growth of a body system, such as the lungs or brain. Understanding these differences provides a greater understanding of why it's so important to protect our children from the harmful effects of environmental hazards. So we've talked a little bit about why children are more vulnerable to environmental exposure than adults. Let's talk about some of those key environmental hazards. There are a variety of opportunities for exposure to environmental hazards at home, as well as in school and childcare settings, including asthma triggers, lead, environmental tobacco smoke or ETS, volatile organic compounds such as formaldehyde, paint fumes, art supply fumes, etc., cleaning supplies, radon, carbon monoxide, and other chemicals. You can see that all throughout the different learning environments and home environments. A child's environment shapes their health and can have both short and long-term consequences. By learning how to reduce environmental exposures that can interfere with children's normal growth and development, we can help children remain healthy. If you have a child with asthma or a child with a learning disability, you know what a toll these health conditions can have on your family. The unfortunate truth is that these health outcomes impact the community and our society as a whole for a host of reasons, including economic ones, such as healthcare costs, special ed classes and the cost of those, and decreased lifetime earnings. Promoting children's environmental health by preventing exposures that can lead to adverse health outcomes is not just the right thing to do for the child, it also makes economic sense for the community. Children in minority, low income, and other underserved populations, as well as children with disabilities, can experience higher exposure to multiple environmental contaminants where they live, learn, and play, and might be placed at a disproportionate risk for associated health effects due to these factors. For example, children from communities of color are 5 times more likely to suffer from lead poisoning than their white counterparts, and children from low-income communities are 8 times more likely to suffer from lead poisoning compared to moderate and upper-income children. When children are adversely affected by their environments, it can lead to increased asthma, neurological damage, childhood obesity, cancer, and other issues. Looking specifically at tribal communities, asthma rates may be 40 to 50 times higher than average, and over 40 to 50% higher than average, and over 50% higher than white populations. Children who have uncontrolled asthma have more disturbed sleep and have been shown to perform worse on concentration and memory tests, thereby affecting classroom performance. The US has invested hundreds of billions of dollars in school infrastructure to create an environment where children can be educated and prepared for the future. However, there is growing concern that some school buildings may be unsafe or harmful to children's health. In addition to problems with building integrity, students may be exposed to asthma triggers, radon, pesticides, lead-based paint, mercury, and other environmental contaminants while in school. Similar and sometimes more severe problems can be seen at schools serving tribal communities. According to a testimony at a 2010 congressional hearing on tribal schools, about 35% of all tribal schools have serious structural deficiencies. A 2007 report by the Office of the Inspector found conditions at a handful of Bureau of Indian Affairs run schools ranging from life-threatening structural deficits to chipping and peeling lead paint. The subsequent 2011 EPA settlement agreement required the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Bureau of Indian Education to address environmental violations at 164 Department of the Interior schools. When policies and practices for healthy school environments are strategically implemented, the benefits stretch far beyond improved environmental health to include reduced operating costs, improved learning, increased teacher satisfaction, and reduced liability. So what can we do to help protect children from environmental hazards both at home and at school and childcare? As environmental and community leaders, you can designate a point of contact in your organization for children's environmental health, form a community-wide children's environmental health work group to assess and prioritize children's environmental health concerns in your community, and then develop a plan to address those concerns. Use GAP funding to start or continue outreach and training for healthy homes in schools, or healthy child care centers. Work with your EPA and other federal and state agency contacts to start or continue children's environmental health intervention programs for concerns such as lead, mercury, asthma, water quality, and indoor and outdoor air quality. I want to share just a couple of examples of outreach and education activities tribes have been involved with. Understanding the higher proportion of tribal children and adults with asthma, and the fact that less than 30% of people with asthma are taking all the essential actions recommended to reduce their exposure to indoor environmental asthma triggers, one tribal group developed radio scripts in multiple languages and broadcast to over 25 Native American radio stations across the country. Another popular program to educate children and the broader community on air quality is EPA's Air Quality Flag Program. There are over 400 schools, libraries, community centers, and other entities in Region 9 that are currently participating, including many tribes. We at EPA also want to help you protect children in your community. The EPA Regional Children's Environmental Health Coordinators offer a network of EPA staff that has experience working in and with communities to address children's environmental health issues. We can help identify and pull together stakeholder groups, find ways to use GAP funding and to address children's health, identify existing training materials that can be modified for your community, and help you find other resources and provide technical assistance. I want to highlight just a couple of resources. We have simple checklists that you can use for communicating things that you can do to keep your family safe and healthy. We have many programs and tools to assist your schools in achieving a healthier learning environment. The majority of programs are voluntary. Only this first row is compliance, is regulatory. But many of them are low cost, and some can even help schools save money, such as recycling and composting and water and energy efficiency. I know top of everyone's mind right now is keeping your community safe during COVID-19. I'm going to very quickly touch on some resources EPA has developed to assist in keeping everyone safe and healthy. You can easily browse questions by various topics related to COVID-19 by visiting EPA's FAQ page. This includes information about cleaning and disinfecting, as well as indoor air issues such as ventilation. The EPA Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention April 28, 2020 press release includes links to the latest guidance published by EPA and CDC on cleaning and disinfecting public spaces, workplaces, businesses, schools, and homes. Additional links to resources are located throughout the guidance document, and there are additional resources with more specific recommendations in the conclusions, such as specific schools, childcare, and universities. The EPA and CDC guidance also includes a simple tool to help facilities determine which spaces need to be cleaned or both cleaned and disinfected. Simply using disinfectants on surfaces that have dirt or debris will be ineffective in killing the virus. It's also important to determine what needs to be disinfected and what disinfectants to use. Disinfectants are toxic substances, and it is very important to use them carefully and according to the label instructions to limit potentially harmful exposure. Make sure your staff are trained in the proper use of these substances, keeping in mind if teachers or other staff are helping to clean, they will also need to be trained. So this is true of your home as well, making sure you're reading the instructions, but important in schools and workplaces. The PDF slide deck includes some additional resources about selecting the correct products for cleaning and disinfecting, what products might be of particular use for your homes or schools or workplaces, as well as some tips to keep in mind to keep your family safe from these chemicals. In addition to children's environmental health resources from EPA, one of our important partners is the Western States Pediatric Environmental Health Specialty Unit, or PACU, and they have a variety of valuable resources that are developed by doctors. The PACUs were created in 1998 to ensure that health professionals and communities have access to specialized medical knowledge and resources for children faced with a health risk due to a natural or man-made environmental hazard. There's one PACU in each EPA region, and they have a network of over 100 doctors that provide education and consultation to healthcare providers, parents, and public health officials about exposures and their potential effects. I want to highlight a couple of things coming up this month in October regarding children's health. October is Children's Health Month, and there are a couple sessions at this conference today and tomorrow that are related to presentation today. The one coming up later today at 2 o'clock, developing a tribal indoor air quality program, and then tomorrow at 10:05 a.m., outreach and education during COVID and under GAP. I want to highlight in particular that Region 9 is partnering with a variety of organizations. EPA Region 9 is partnering with the Office of Research and Development at EPA, the Office of Transportation and Air Quality, our Western States PACU that I just mentioned, as well as Region 6 and Region 8 on various webinars taking place throughout the month related to children's health. Of particular interest might be the October 27th webinar that will cover the new lead awareness in Indian country, keeping our children healthy curriculum, developed in collaboration with the National Tribal Toxics Council, the National EPA Tribal Science Council, and over 200 tribal representatives. You can visit EPA's website for a plethora of information and resources related to children's health, and more will go out this month in recognition of Children's Health Month. My contact information is on the first slide of this deck, and please feel free to reach out with any questions that you have. Like I said, we'll also have questions at the end of this session after we hear a little bit more about environmental education from Eileen and Lisa. And that is all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Eileen.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Let's see, I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, are you able to see my screen? Great. All right, hello everyone, good morning. My name is Eileen Shanahan, and I'm the new Environmental Education Coordinator for Region 9 EPA. I'm happy to be with you all today to chat about environmental education and outreach opportunities. We're also very excited, as Sarah said, to have Lisa Gover join us from the Campo Environmental Protection Agency. So after my slideshow, Lisa will share about her experiences utilizing environmental education resources and materials. And yeah, I hope to be a resource for you. So please keep in mind that you're welcome to reach out to me and follow up after this presentation as well. And so you're all aware, the slides from this presentation are also available on the event page that you use to join the session. So that's a good reference as well. So in this presentation, we'll discuss what environmental education is and why it's important, some EPA education programs, and resources to help you meet your outreach and education goals. So environmental education increases awareness and knowledge about environmental issues for members of the public of all ages, and provides skills for making informed decisions and taking responsible actions. So environmental education is about more than just facts. It's about inspiring action. And I want to acknowledge and honor all the work you're already doing to promote environmental education. One key idea in environmental education is that the living world is of personal worth to the learner. So if you know about something, you can seek to understand it. And if you understand something, you can seek to care about it. And if you care about something, you can seek to protect it. So environmental education is described as a lifelong learning process, and you're never too old to be learning about your environment. Many environmental educators choose to focus on kids because children are our future, but the environment needs our help now, so it's important to include adults in the education process as well. So this graphic describes environmental education as a continuum from awareness to action. So awareness and knowledge are on the environmental information side of the spectrum, and critical thinking through action are on the education side of the spectrum. So some examples of EPA information and communication activities might be PSAs on lead poisoning or asthma, a press release on environmental disasters, a brochure or websites maintained by program offices. And then on the other side, examples of environmental education activities might include a grant to a school district to learn about water quality at a local stream, or a teacher training program to strengthen educators' knowledge of an environmental issue and skills in teaching critical thinking, or the development of materials to help students learn about and analyze environmental issues in order to be prepared to solve problems and make decisions about needed action. So you can note that many environmental education programs contain outreach and communication, but they also go beyond to teach decision-making skills. So these are some of EPA's core environmental education programs. One being our Environmental Education Grants Program. We also have our Teacher and Youth Awards Program and our National Environmental Education Foundation, or NEEF. And I'll go into more detail about those in the following slides. So the Environmental Education Grant Program works to advance educational opportunities to develop an environmentally conscious public and inspire personal responsibility and stewardship in caring for the environment. The program provides financial support for projects which design and demonstrate environmental education practices, methods, and techniques. So how can this grant opportunity support future tribal environmental education programs? So there's a few ways you can utilize this grant program. One being you can apply as a prime recipient of a grant for $50,000 to $100,000. And tribal agencies, nonprofits, and local government agencies are all eligible for these grants. You can also receive a subaward of $5,000 or less to perform integral tasks related to project goals. Or you could also partner with the prime applicant to help in the development, design, and implementation of an environmental education program. So some basic information about the environmental education grants. The requests for application are released either every year or every other year. So in the next month or so, we'll find out if there's funding for this coming year, but they're definitely offered every year or every other year. And there's 3 to 4 awards anticipated from each of the 10 regions to be given out. So 30 to 35 awards in total. And the grant awards are no less than $50,000 and no more than $100,000. And the projects should have a local focus, so focusing on your general community or region. And the proposals must include both educational and environmental priorities. So we'll review that in the next slide. So every few years, the EPA environmental education grants have a new set of priorities. So the current priorities for the environmental side are improving air quality, ensuring clean and safe water, ensuring the safety of chemicals, and revitalize land and prevent contamination. And then the educational priorities are currently agricultural education, community projects, and career development. So this is an example of a grant that was awarded last year. So the Intertribal Council of Arizona had a project titled Tribal Voices for Environmental Stewardship, and they received a $100,000 grant just last year in 2019. And the project trained teachers, elders, and environmental professionals on project-based learning and Indigenous environmental education frameworks. The project focused on traditional ecological knowledge and the facilitation of intergenerational learning to confront environmental issues such as pesticide use, solid waste, and air and water pollution. Great, so moving on to the Environmental Education Awards Program. We have two awards program, one for youth and one for teachers. And these are the highest student and teacher awards that the agency gives. So the President's Environmental Youth Award recognizes outstanding student environmental projects by K through 12 youth. And the EPA program, as we call it, promotes awareness of natural resources and encourages positive community engagement. And each year, the EPA program offers a wide variety of projects developed by young individuals, school classes, summer camps, public interest groups, and youth organizations to promote environmental awareness. And in each of the 10 EPA regions, there are two parts of the EPA award. One's a regional award for grades K through 5, and the other is an award for grades 6 through 12. And the President's Innovation Award for Environmental Educators recognizes outstanding kindergarten through grade 12 teachers who employ innovative approaches to environmental education and use the environment as a context for learning for their students. Teacher awardees will receive a plaque and an award up to $2,500 to be used to further the recipient's professional development and environmental education. The teacher's local agency will also receive an award of up to $2,500 to fund environmental education activities and programs for students. So now we'll review some resources to help meet outreach and educational goals. One great resource is the National Environmental Education Foundation. And this is the nation's leading organization in lifelong environmental learning, connecting people to knowledge they use to improve the quality of their lives and the health of the planet. This organization was congressionally chartered in 1990 as a nonprofit organization to complement the work of the Environmental Protection Agency. So this organization has some great online curriculum, funding opportunities, and award programs. So I encourage, if you're interested, to check out the website. And excuse me. So this is just a link to the National Environmental Education Foundation's online grant portal. So if you make an account with NEEF, you can go to their portal and find a wide variety of environmental education grant and funding opportunities. Another great organization for environmental education is the North American Association for Environmental Education. And they have a wonderful conference coming up just next week. It's online, and it's October 13th through 16th. This organization also has a variety of online webinars, workshops and trainings, online courses, higher education programs, and environmental education certification programs. So they're a great resource as well when looking to develop programs. And again, the North American Association for Environmental Education has a state affiliates program. They do have state affiliates for most states. Unfortunately, Nevada doesn't have one, but Arizona, California, and Hawaii do. And they have great resources like curriculum and funding opportunities as well. In Arizona and California, they have a course to become a certified environmental educator. That's a great training program. So the EPA website also has a variety of lesson plans, teacher guides, and online environmental resources for educators. You can find an array of environmental and science-based lesson plans, activities and ideas from EPA and other federal agencies and external organizations. EPA's Enviro Atlas is an especially interesting and helpful resource that provides geospatial data and easy to use tools and other resources related to ecosystem services and human health. The website features training and tutorial videos, K through 12 lesson plans, and national data sets. Another great EPA resource that Sarah touched on is the Air Quality Flag Program. So again, you can order a set of EPA flags for a community center or school or other public building. And each day the organization raises a flag that corresponds to how clean or polluted the air is. Along with ordering these flags, EPA also has corresponding air quality curriculum for classrooms, outreach materials, an online widget that you could add to a website, as well as the Tribal Air Quality Flag Package, which includes a customizable flyer or poster template to share with your community. And the National Service Center for Environmental Publications is another helpful resource if you want to search, retrieve, download, print, or order EPA technical, scientific, or environmental education materials. And these are all free of charge. Here are just some additional environmental education resources from other federal agencies and state agencies with some great curriculum and learning opportunities. And lastly, here are some additional EPA environmental education related materials. So thank you all for joining today. And again, I hope to be a resource for you in my position as an environmental education coordinator. So we'll have time for questions at the end, but please keep in mind again that you're more than welcome to follow up and reach out to me at any time. So next we'll have the opportunity to hear from Lisa Gover from the Campo Environmental Protection Agency about her experiences with environmental education. And then following that, we'll have time for questions. Thank you again, and I'll pass it over to Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. I don't have slides, and I apologize for that, but I was very interested in what Sarah and Eileen were able to pull together. There's a lot of decent resources, and we have utilized a lot of those resources. I'm sorry, I get distracted by looking at me in the video. But so what I wanted to talk to you about, and I'll try to make it short, that's going to be the biggest challenge for me, is trying to keep it down to 5 or 10 minutes so that there can be some questions. But what I was asked to do was talk about the partnerships that we have been involved with for our environmental information and education and outreach, the things that we do. First off, I wanted to say that we do have we were able to get the Air Quality Flag Program flags for our Campo Elementary School. They are using those flags, and we were able to, we go check on them and see, go see what our air quality is. The Campo Elementary School is about 10 miles away from our offices, but it is right across the street from what we call our reservation portion that we call Old Campo. I'm sorry, I don't know where to look in my camera, so I'm just going to look at my notes, you guys. What we have partnerships with a lot of different federal agencies and nonprofit organizations and other Indian tribes, and I just want to try to run off a few of those. And real quickly, I wanted to welcome Eileen to her new position. It's going to be wonderful. I had great luck with working with Eric, who was there before. But quickly, what Eric was always able to do for us and with us is to provide little odds and ends for our environmental fair. So we would get things like pencils and coloring books and activity books for the youth. But the other kinds of things that we have been able to use, obviously, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but we certainly use our EPA funding to promote information on our website and on our social media. And we've been utilizing that a lot to get out some COVID information. And it's been very helpful because we have a small community and people are using social media, and when they have internet connection, they can go to our website. On the website, we provide different kinds of meteorological information as well. And we call that environmental information because it's useful to know wind speeds and that kind of thing. When you live in a rural area like ours, and we are in a wildfire hazard zone, it's good to know those what the wind speed is. And because we are streaming information right from our office, it's people know exactly where that information is coming from. But the other thing I wanted to add is that we have a great and long-standing partnership with EPA in doing our environmental information, things like providing funds so that we can have a computer set up for community members who would like to see the environmental information that we have on projects that are ongoing on the reservation. We also, excuse me, my throat's kind of messing up. We also have partnerships with IHS in developing and maintaining data on our public water systems and our other sanitation systems. We have a great partnership with BIA on the ArcGIS tools that we are able to get through them. And we find that those maps and charts and pictures that we can utilize through ArcGIS are very helpful in helping us prepare outreach information. Also, I wanted to note that we really have a great opportunity to work with Native American Environmental Protection Coalition, which does some training on providing outreach skills. We also work with RCAC and certainly other tribes. Their fairs, their environmental fairs, help us to hone skills in providing environmental information for our community, but also to share the information we have for Campo at Campo. One of the things that I wanted to point out that I've been involved in recently is working with Paula and Shasta on the climate data information that we're putting together in portals. It's really important that we share information and develop information and work with each other on our different programs so that we can know what other tribes are doing and the best way to present information. And likes alike. I very much appreciate learning from getting my environmental education from a number of the tribes. I'm sorry, I left my phones across the room, so you're just going to hear that ding behind me. And I'm nearly done. One of the things that, one of the other partners that I think has been real important during this COVID time too is National Indian Health Council. Been on a number of webinars to get information specific to our Indian communities. And of course we work with our Campo education department at our own reservation. And that way we have an opportunity to work with the youth, from the little ones to the older ones, and to provide information for their parents as well. It's always a learning time. So I'm going to quit. I hope that was real short so we can get some questions and answers. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. I really appreciate the presentation. It's really nice to hear what you've been able to do. In terms of questions, don't know if we have any going on in the chat. Mark or Melissa, I don't know in terms of letting people unmute themselves or what the game plan should be on this.
Looks like we don't really have a long queue for questions. So if anyone wants to speak up and ask a question, feel so free. You could use the raise hand feature. You could type in the box. So yeah, everyone welcome to ask any questions you'd like.
You guys better ask questions or I'll start talking again.
I know we did have a question come through in the chat about the presentation availability. The PDFs of both mine and Eileen's presentations are on the agenda on the Tribal EPA website. There's a tab you kind of toggle between, and there's a tab that says media on the page for our session, and you can get to both PDFs there. All the links are live. They're good resources to check back out too. And it looks like, Melissa, you had some other information about the Zoom link updates.
Yes, so I just sent out the link again, just in case anybody didn't receive the email that we sent with the updated session links for today. And then they are also updated on the website. And then we'll be working on updating all session links tonight. So we'll have that sent out and you guys should be receiving an updated email either late tonight or early in the morning that has all the session updates for the duration of the conference.
Oh, we have a question. Thank you, Melissa.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and read it out loud. Lisa mentioned that her tribe is working with Paula and Shasta on a climate curriculum. Was that correct?
It's not a curriculum. What it is we're putting together under a climate project funded by Bureau of Indian Affairs, we're putting together data, climate data, information, pulling it together in one place that might be able to be helpful for us on the kinds of climate adaptation strategies that we have been working on. So it's not a curriculum, but I'm sure there are curricula out there. I know that Climate Science Alliance and we're on the tribal work group has been working on a lot of different kind of curriculum. And I forgot to mention that we use the Climate Science Alliance climate trunks as one of the activities we do with our youth and the education department.
Great, thank you. So any other questions, welcome. And if anyone wants to share about any programs that they've done in their environmental education activities or about children's health, feel free to share those as well. Here we have a question. Children's health and environmental education have lots of free materials for outreach or education efforts. How can folks access those materials remotely? From Destiny.
Okay, thank you for that question, Destiny. Our slides, which again you can access on the agenda, have links to various sites. So EPA has both online curriculum that you can access from the website, as well as there's the National Service Center. There's a slide on that as well where you can order physical materials online. You're also welcome to reach out to me if, like Lisa said, if you're interested in getting things for an environmental fair or outreach event. You're welcome to email or call me and we can arrange sending pencils or workbooks and other outreach materials. And then, yeah, there's a wide variety of external organizations such as the foundation we spoke about, NEEF, and NAAEE has a variety of online training programs and curriculum as well, which are really great.
Also, this is Lisa again. I'd like to remind you that there's a lot of opportunity to use the GAP funding to do different environmental education and outreach activities. We do that quite a bit actually at Campo. And one of the things that I wanted to mention was when we worked with the Environmental Information Office with Eric, that I had called him to talk to him about an idea that we had because he had some money, but turns out he didn't. But anyways, he helped us develop a plan that was added to our GAP as a GAP component. We didn't get enough money but most of all, we lost our artist in our office, or we weren't able to do it. But there are lots of opportunities for the innovative stuff that tribes come up with, and I've seen some really great stuff, you guys.
Thank you. You know, sharing resources and opportunities. Anything else in the chat? Let's see.
I just want to say thank you all for attending today. We had a lot of participation, and we're really excited to be able to share our programs with you and look forward to further interaction on both children's environmental health and environmental education.
Great, thank you.
Thanks to Sarah and Eileen for inviting me to present with them.
Yes, thank you, Lisa, for joining, and thank you everyone for joining this session. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out and be in touch.
Yeah. Could we have you type your contact info into the chat? I know it's on some of the presentations, but just for accessibility's sake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a great session, everyone. I'm glad that you all could spread this information. You know, these issues are very important. So, yeah. Are you guys gonna hang around a little longer, or did you want to like end the session? What were your thoughts?
Actually, I'm gonna have to end it soon because I need to start the next one and I have to close out in order to do that. So if nobody has any more questions and you guys have got everything out of the chat box, and I'm gonna close.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Mark and Melissa, for hosting, and Lisa, thank you so much for speaking about your experience. We really appreciate it.
You're
Yes,
welcome. Thank you.
Lisa.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
All right,
Lisa.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.